Yeah, good morning. This is Bang Bang Ray Hill. Yeah, 1978, 1979, Chelmsford burnt down. I go to Lewisham. I go there with my wife, my ex-wife, sorry, and we go there. She has a baby, and anyway. Whilst I'm in Lewisham, I'm quite fit. I'm very fit. Come out of prison. All I want to do is train 24/7. I'm running all around everywhere, Blackheath, Woolwich, running from my house to Woolwich. I lived in Lewisham and I ran to Woolwich. It's a long, long way, mate. All around Blackheath, Catford, Deptford, all around everywhere. Lehigh Road, down the end of Lehigh Road to Blackheath, all around. I was run miles and miles. Sometimes put packs on my back, put a few bricks in them, bit of sand. I was fit as anything, mate. I was done when I come out of prison. I was big, yeah. So I had to get down. I was too muscular. I had to start losing weight a bit, and I put all that back on in my other later on in my other sentence. But I was big. I was a big lump, yeah. Bottom of my road was a pub. I think it was called the Lil. Not the Lil. It was called. I was in Brookbank Road. I think it was called the Brookbank, something like that. And when I went down. Well, just by chance, I went in that pub just to look around to see what it was like around them little areas. And walked in the pub. There was about 20 people in there, I suppose, all having a drink around the saloon part of it. The guys that own it was two guys. Looks a bit gay to me, but I don't know. Two Rays, that was called, two Rains. Walked in there, bought myself a little shandy, and standing there talking with a few people. And the first guy I talked to was a guy called Eddie Richardson. I mean, I read his books in prison, do you know what I mean? And I was shaking, do you know what I mean? I was a bit shaky, a bit frightened, do you know what I mean? Because I heard all about him. I was a young boy, young fighter. Kind of a white fight, but Eddie Richardson was a bit different kettle of fish, mate. He was a gangster. And got talking to him. He said, "What's up, mate?" I said, "All right, mate." He said, "What?" I said, "Yeah, I just moved here. I live in Brookbank Road." And he said, "Okay." He said, "Where'd you come from?" I said, "Well, it's not long been out of prison." He said, "What was you in for?" I said, "Armed robbery." And he said, "Okay." He said, He said, "Why you come to Lewisham?" I said, "Well, my girlfriend, she come to Lewisham to get away from me, actually. I just come out of prison, but now we've become friends again, this, that, and the other, and we're going to try and hit it off, yeah." He said, "Okay." So then he introduced me to other people, and lots of other people in there, like Terry Coombs. Terry Coombs, he was talking to me. He was a fighter, Terry Coombs. He says he's done unlicensed fighting. I was talking to him about the fights. And then another guy called Terry Sharp. Terry Sharp, proper gangster, Terry Sharp. All gangsters in there, you know what I mean? So, but Terry Sharp, nice fella, mate. Terry Sharp, good fighter in his days, mate. Really good fighter. And they also introduced me another one called Gypsy Tom. Gypsy Tom was a proper hard man, mate. Could really have it, Gypsy Tom. And he was like an enforcer as such. He had a bit of doing scrap and all that. You know, he had a little bit of a yard over at Elephant Castle, but they'd have a meet up there on a certain days. And that day is the day I went down. I didn't know. Just walked in there, and as I say, I was talking to Eddie, and he said, "What sort of work you do?" I said, "No, I just come down here. Obviously, I've got to find a bit of work, but I want to get into this unlicensed fighting." He said, "Okay." He said, "Why do you want to get into?" I said, "Well, you know, I can have a white fight, and I fancy that I'd be proper, mate. I'll be one of the top ones, you know what I mean?" I said, "I've heard about this guy called Roy Shaw, and I've heard about this guy called Lenny McLean." And I said, "You know, why can't I be up there with them? You know what I mean?" He said, "Okay." He said, "Why don't you go down to Beckett, Thomas and Beckett?" He said, "Beckett's not far from here, so it's Old Kent Road." He said, "Why don't you go down there?" I said, "Yeah, I said, "Yeah, I will." And so he said, "Well, go down there." He said, "There's a guy that I know goes in there, a guy called Jimmy Tippett, and he trains a few boys down there." He said, "You know, go down there and tell him I sent you down there, and you might be lucky, and get him to train you." So I started going down to Beckett. I was still running. I was running every day, yeah. But I had a little car, got down to the Beckett, and Walked upstairs and didn't see Jimmy there at first, and I went in there and I see Columbo. Columbo was there. He was on the floor having a workout, this, that, and the other. And he was up, leaning up, clipping the bag, and he was he was a bit lively, Columbo. I've got to say, very, very fit. Bang, 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 bang. There's a black guy in there. I now know him, his name's been Lloyd Wolfham. Good fighter, good banger, as I found out. And there was about, I suppose, 10 people in their training. And it's only a small place, sorry, Becky, believe it, people think it's a massive gaff. It's very tiny, yeah. And there's a little ring, not very big at all. Anyway, I'm in their training, and I see this guy walk in there with a suit. Smart, really smart guy. Flat nose. Took his jacket off. Could see it was trimmed up. It was nice. It looked well. And I was on the bag, punching the bag, and he walks over to me. He said, "What are you up to, mate?" I said, "Look, I'll come down here looking for a guy called Jimmy Tippett." He went, "I'm Jimmy Tippett." I went, "Oh, my name's Ray Hill. Eddie Richardson said you'd be down there, and maybe you'd like to train me. I'm up for this unlicensed fighting." He went, "Okay." He said, "Yeah, let's have a go at it." Yeah. So anyway, I'm there. He's put me through the bag. Likes the way I move on the mirror. I'm on the mirror all the time, shadow boxing. He likes the way I'm moving. I'm always bobbing and weaving. I'm all moving my head about. And I'm throwing punches. I don't muck about. I've got a good left hook. He said, "You've got a lovely left hook, mate." He says, "You've got a lovely peekaboo left hook. I can't remember the brain." He said, "Yeah." He said, "Let's keep training." He said, "What did you do? Tell me about your day." He said, "Well, I get up early in the morning, about 6:30. I go for a run every morning, maybe put a pack on my back." He said, "Where do you run?" I said, "Well, hilly fields, all round hilly fields. I run all round Lewisham. Sometimes I run to Blackheath. I've even been known to run to Woolwich, yeah. Woolwich." He said, "You joke?" I said, "Yeah." He said, "Miles." I said, "No, I'm really, really fit, you know." I said, "I've been in prison for a long time, and all I've done was train." He went, "Okay." He said, "I'll tell you what to do." He said, "Look, I live in Hayes in Kent, but he said, I come down here quite a lot, yeah." He said, "And I'm always around Lewisham." He said, there's a few spills that I look after." I said, "What's a spill?" He said, "Card schools and all that game." He said, "And I do a little bit of money, getting money from people that owe money for Eddie Richardson and Terry Coombs, Terry Sharp, and them sort of people. And the club's busy. I think what's that little firm? There's a little some brothers around there, Frenchies at the time. I think there was running their clubs around there, running the spills as well." I said, yeah, I'm up for that." He said, "Do you want to fancy come out with me sometime?" I said, yeah. But now I just want to get involved with this unlicensed fighting. And he takes me down. We watch a few unlicensed fight shows down at a place called Harvey's Social Club in Woolwich, yeah. But I used to run around there quite a lot, yeah. It was only looked like a little place, but when you walked through, it was quite a big. Walked into this like hallway, and at the back was the ring, big ring, and the change room was to the right, yeah. It was big gaff, yeah. So I went in there with Jimmy, and I've seen about 4 or 5 fights in there with Jim. I've been down there about a couple of 3 times and watching them. Then I went to Streatham, Terry Coombs, and I think Terry Coombs and Eddie Richardson was running them shows at that time. And I was always around there, always watching shows and all that. I hadn't the fight at this time, yeah. And I thought, well, I love it, mate. I love this. This is a bit of me, yeah. Sorry, what's a bit of a tea, yeah. Sorry. Yeah, this is a bit of me. So anyway, Jim used to pick me up some mornings. I think he was driving a Cortina or something like that. I'm not quite sure now. Pick me up in the mornings. Go for a run. He'd take me to Blackheath round there. I'd be running around Blackheath. He'd get me doing all sorts of things, bandy hops and burpees and leg thrusts and press ups and star jumps. I mean, I knew all that in prison anyway, so I was all into that, yeah. Like I was telling him I can, I'll do this and do that and other things, yeah. And I used to be very strong. of putting my hands in front, like a press up, yeah, but straight hands in front, and picking myself up for my abdominals. I had really good abs and picking myself up, but over that happening, over me doing all that and all the powerlifting I used to do in prison, I got an hernia in my tummy, and it gives me some jibs sometimes, you know. But that's all picking up all the big weights, and your tummy's open up, and the water comes through anyway. So we're training all the time in the gym, and what Jim would do, he'd take me to Woolwich or Blackheath, run around Blackheath, and then he'd say, "Okay, see you later, and I'll see you tomorrow." And I'd say, "Oh, that," and I'd run home from there. When I'd do all my floor workout, not floor, on the grass and all that, and do a bit of shadow boxing in the middle of Blackheath. Blackheath's a nice place, you know what I mean, round by the church, do a lot of shadow boxing and all this, that and the other. Loved it there, mate, loved it. And then I'll run back to my house, have a bath, and then they say, "Look, in a minute, when you finish, wait, when you do what you got to do, you work out and all this, and you run back, he said, you do what you got to do, come down the pub, and we'll have a chat." And I go down the pub, there'll be Eddie Richardson there, Terry Coombs, Terry Sharp, having a talk. There's a couple of guys called George with a big scar down his face, Georgie, yeah. I think he was involved with Billy Hayward and Harry Hayward. I can't remember Harry Hayward and Billy Hayward being down that pub. I might have seen him, but I don't think I did, because I remember that over that Smith turnout with Bill, Harry and Eddie Richardson, don't get on, mate. And anyway, so I'm training regular. Jimmy took me down to Harvey's Social Club. There's another place we went to, another place I can't remember. I remember seeing a podcast with young Jimmy Tippett. He said there's places, I used to go down these places as well, yeah. But I can't remember the names or tell the names, you know what I mean? Anyway, so I goes down to Harvey's Social Clubs. I've had 2 fights, right? 2 fights, I don't know what they are, it's years ago, yeah. Done 2 fights, and I knocked these guys out. First round, second round, no problem, yeah. So now I've had 2 fights, and I've had 2 knockouts, yeah. And I was feeling quite confident in myself. Everybody loved me. I was a big lump, and I could bang, yeah. I could really, really bang. So I'm in the gym, in the Beckett gym, and he's told me that, I think it was the Rainbow Fit, I'm not quite sure. I think it was the Rainbow. Or the Mayfair, I can't remember what it was, but it was up with Frankie Wine and that little firm. They had their own shows. It was called Box On, yeah. And he asked me if I would like to fight Jim. I said, yeah. He went up. Listen, there's a fight we wanted. A guy called Brian Hall. He's an ex-pro. He's still got it there. Why do you fancy fighting? I said, yeah, I'd have some of that. So I goes down there, and Brian Hall's on the show, I'm on the show, and we get it on. And I'm in the dressing rooms, the Cliffield's there, and that's the only time I met Lenny McLean at that time. Didn't know who he was. I only knew who he was when I jumped out of the ring, yeah. But Lenny McLean's there shouting about. I didn't say too much to Jimmy. I was just getting myself ready, changed, walked out of there, got into the ring. There was me, I had a black dressing gown. I think it had a red stripe on it, or gold stripe, and it shorts. And this guy bought, he was my sponsor. This guy in Lehigh Road, at the end, right at the very end of Lehigh Road, was a pub. I think it's called the Red Lion or something like that. But we used to meet there. Terry Coombs, Terry Sharp, Eddie Richardson, all that in his pub. And the guy that owned the pub, sponsored me through Jimmy Tippett. Jimmy Tippett, he loved me, man. He loved me. He was like my brother, you know what I mean? He loved me to death. Everywhere he went, I went. We was always training together. Anyway, went down to I think it was Mayfair, Tottenham. Anyway, was it in Mayfair? I'm not quite sure actually. Anyway, I went down there and met Cliff Fields and a few other people, and I got in a ring with a guy called Brian Hall. Good heavyweight, Brian Hall. I think we went 8 rounds. I told people it's 9 minutes 6 seconds into this film, the film called Box On. It's not. It's 6 minutes 9 seconds into it. You'll see me there. Can't miss my hair. I've got lots of hair then with Brian Hall. I'm jabbing him about. You see me. He hits me a few times. He come back on the rope. Boom, left hook. Give him a left hook. Anyway, we had a good fight. It was tit for tat. I did smash his face about a bit. I had a fantastic left jab crash and left hook. Yeah, I smashed his face right. You see, anyway, becoming draw, which is fair play. I thought I won. He must have thought he won, but it can't become a draw. Yeah, and as I jumped out the ring, there was a guy there, black shoes, black trousers, black jumper, like crew neck up to there, black hair, and I suppose he weighed about maybe 16, 17 and a half stone. I was about 17 and a half. I was fit. I trimmed right up all the running I've been doing, everything. I'm massive, I'm big, but trimmed up, yeah. And I jumped out the ring, and he said, I'd have knocked him out, mate. I'd have knocked him spark out. He said, what? He said, you should have knocked him out. He went, you can't bang. I went, oh, right, mate. I said, who are you then? He said, I'm Lenny McLean. I said, who's Lenny McLean? I knew who he was, but to talk to him like that, and I wasn't really tight. Didn't want to mug myself off. I went, okay. He said, oh, Lenny McLean. I went, all right, mate. He went, I'd have smashed him to pieces. I'd knocked his spark out. And went, oh, all right, mate. He went, I said, he said, do you want to fight me then? I went, no, man, not really. I said, but if you want to fight, I said, there's my manager, Jimmy Tippett. Manager, he was like, young Jimmy says, I did him anyway. So he had a talk with Frankie Wine, and there was a guy called Vic Andretti. Vic Andretti was, he trained a lot of pros, Vic Andretti, but at that time, I'm not quite sure if he was doing professional fights because I remember him saying on the Box On, fuck the boxing ball and control and all that game. I think he also said it, Frankie Wine, but I think they cut it out a bit, yeah. But he did say that, Vic Andretti. So at that time, perhaps he wasn't with the boxing ball and control because he was a good trainer. He trained Nigel Benn. He trained a few people up in his pub. Go through the pub upstairs, yeah, like thing. Anyway, and so he was talking to Vic Andretti, my mate Jimmy Tippett, and also Frankie Wine, and Lenny McLean's there. Oh, Lenny gave me the ump because he's all bouncy, all mouthy, but it's what he does, and it's what how he sells himself, yeah. Having Frankie Warren that man, because Frankie Warren was his cousin or related, it helps, yeah. So on the way home with Jimmy, it was a draw. I think I got about £500, £400 for it. Jimmy must have got a few bob, but I'll give him half of what I earned. That was what it was about. I'll give him off because he was a good trainer to me, Jimmy. He really trained off with me, yeah. And anyway, on the way home, he said to me, look, he said, I've talked to Frankie Wine. He said, I've talked to Vic Andretti, and Vic Andretti's got a pub called The Ring. And upstairs in the pub is a gym, and he trains a few people, Vic Andretti. And Lenny trains up there. Do you fancy going out there one couple of days and having a spar around, having a train up there? I went, yeah, I'd love that, you know what I mean? So, obviously, come on, it's like, your belly goes a little bit, then I'm going to go up to this gym. I mean, I'm up the Beckett. I used to go to Haverstock Hill, Noble Art, Bugners and all that, but I'm saying I'm now out of prison. Anyway, so, me, Jimmy, go up to the pub called The Ring. Go upstairs, Lenny's in the ring, throwing punches left, right and centre. He looks fit, man. He looks fit, and he's but he isn't very. He don't seem very fast. All that. So anyway, so I get in the ring, and I'm sort of moving around the ring, doing a bit of shadow boxing, and Lenny and Jimmy Tippett and Vic Andretti and Frankie Wine are all there talking, and there's other fighters in there. They're talking to other fighters, And then all of a sudden Jimmy comes up, we want a few rounds with Lenny. I went, yeah. But I happen to know Lenny, but Lenny ain't had really many fights at that time. He wasn't really that known, yeah. He was known, but he wasn't like when he got big, 22 stone, and all that game. But he was, I think, Roy Shaw, he was about 17, sorry, I'll get myself tongue tied. About 17 and a half stone when he fought Roy. Anyway, so he said, do you want? I said, yeah, I'll have a few rounds with Lenny. Got in there, got to say, Lenny was punching me all round the gaff at first. Lenny had a good punch, but he didn't have the punch to knock you out. He had to do a combination of punches to knock you out. I don't know if you see one of a couple of fights he's had with Roy Shaw. He won me about 30 times, but he still didn't knock him to the floor. People saying, no, he kept him, you can't keep a geezer up that, who's that heavy, you know what I mean? Anyway, but yeah, he could punch, but he couldn't knock you out with one punch. He could hurt you, but he did hurt me then. Lenny became a good punch. He did hurt me, yeah, I can't say he didn't. And he was like, knocking me about a bit. And all of a sudden, Jimmy stopped it, it's enough now. And I'm thinking, yeah, I like this. So went down there a couple of times and then he had a few rounds. And then after a while, it all comes back to you, training with professional fighters when I was trained down Abstock Hill and the Wellington Highgate. When with pros, you learn a lot. You're still there. It's still you're learning, yeah. And I could see how Lenny was doing things, and a couple of times I turned Lenny, yeah. I turned him for a punch, bang over the top, yeah. And I'd rock him, man. With 16-ounce gloves, I'd rock him, mate. And I knew listen, we all know, you're all fighters, yeah? I don't disrespect anybody. And I know who I was and who I am. But at that time, I knew that I was young, fit, can bang. And me and Lenny, when we were sparring, myself, I thought that I could beat Lenny. Really, I thought that I could beat Lenny. Without a shadow of a doubt, I thought I could beat him. I mean, come on, I'm not going to say 100%, I mean, come on, it's like anything can happen heavyweight, a certain punch, hit you on the chin, and it's all over in seconds, yeah? But I really thought that I could beat him. So Jimmy Tippett said to me, you done really well, eh? I fancy you stand a good chance with him, and I fancy you could beat him. And I fancy I could. I said, look, why don't you arrange it with Frank Warren and get something going, So I've got I think I've got a couple of posters with me. We're going to fight. Me and Lenny are going to fight. I think they've been on my podcast. They are on there. That I was going to fight Lenny. But Lenny, when I went to the shows to fight Lenny never showed up. Everybody says, you'd have showed up. Listen, he never showed up, yeah? Whether or not he did, he was there, whatever, but he didn't show up for the fight. He didn't fight me, yeah? Twice. Maybe it's because of Vic Andretti. Maybe it was a good Frankie Warren. You've got to remember that Lenny's now up and coming. He's up and coming, he's getting a good name. Lenny only had about 12 fights as an unlicensed fighter. I think he got beat 5 times, or 6 times, I'm not quite sure. I know he got beat once by Roy Shaw. I know he bashed Roy Shaw up a couple of times, but he got beat once by Roy Shaw. Johnny Waldron beat him twice, that's 3. Cliff Fields beat him twice, that's 5. And also Kevin Paddock beat him once, that's 6. So I think he had 12 fights, he might have won 6 fights, I'm not quite sure, so just leave it at that, yeah? But I was sure people would tell me anyway. So he never showed up, and this. So what me and Jimmy would do is a guy's name, I can't think of his name. We used to fight Woolwich, a lot down at Harvey Social Club in Woolwich, yeah? And one day, I got a call from Jimmy. it wasn't a lot of mobiles, it was all hand phones. I got a phone from Jimmy. He went, come down to Harvey Social Club, mate. He said, we're going to watch a few fights. He said, Eddie Richardson there, it's Terry Coombs and Eddie Show, and they invited me down to go there with you. You come down. I went, okay. I went down to their Harvey Social Club in Woolwich, and I was a compere, because I was knocking people out. Everybody loved me for who I am, and I was just a compere, getting in the ring, jumping in the ring, and everybody shaking about, and everybody loved me, yeah? Bang, but yeah. Oh, sorry, big pardon. At that time, I don't think my name was Bang Bang Hill, and I don't think I had a record call for Cats. But it come later, and anyway, I'm in the ring, all giving all that and shaking everybody and talking. Anyway, and what's his name? Anyway, Lenny was supposed to come down and fight this guy who had a pub. I find out later on who the guy is, but the guy never showed up. Lenny never showed up. Oh, sorry, the guy did show up, but Lenny never showed up. So anyway, they're waiting for Lenny comes, he don't come. So then there's a big coloured guy there, black guy there, massive, this guy. He had arms down to his knees. He's massive, mate. He was big, I'd say, 18 and a half, 19 stone, big guy. Bald head. And he was going to fight this guy that was going to fight Lenny, because Lenny never showed up. So they arranged this black guy to fight this. Forget his name. I'll tell you. Sorry about it, mate. I'm like a bit punchy, So the guy don't want to fight the black guy. I ain't gone down at the fight. I've got no gear. I've got nothing. I'm just there. And all of a sudden, Eddie's got hold of Jimmy Tippett and said, "Look, Jimmy, can you ever talk with Ray? Will Ray fight this black guy, because there's no one to fight top of the bill." Lenny ain't there. I went, so he came up to Jimmy and said, "Fancy a fight?" I said, "No, leave off, Jimmy, I'm not down there to have a fight, mate. I'm down there doing what you asked me to do." He went, "Come on," he said, "Eddie Richardson and Terry Coombs, like, I'll look after you, right, you know what I mean? But they got no one top of the bill." I said, "Jimmy, I don't want to do it, mate." Anyway, I went in to see the doctors. We all go to see the doctors, all like the cobblers, but you still go to see the doctor. I goes in there and there's this big black guy behind me. This is the guy I've got to fight. Straight away, the old rumbles in the belly. And I'm getting a bit more, hold up. I've got to fight this guy behind me, he's massive, yeah? Anyway, gets in the ring with this big black guy, and everyone's, "Go on, Ray, bang, bang." Well, my name wasn't Bang Bang Ray all at the time, yeah? And anyway, get in the ring, and I'm fighting this geezer, and he's jabbing my head off. He's got long arms. He's jabbing my head off, and he's banging me a bit right hand, and he's shaking me up a bit, yeah? And I'm thinking to myself, this guy's going to knock me out in a bit. I swear my life. This geezer's could bang, and he knew how to box. So he was a bit lively. So I got in the corner, got in the corner, went low, like a peekaboo, jumped up and bit, spat my gum shot out, and I bit half of his ear off, yeah? Half his earlobe off. He screamed like a baby, mate. He jumped out the ring, and they wouldn't get in the ring, back in the ring me, and everyone's going, "Yeah, you're the governor," and all this jumping in the ring at me, yeah? No governors, mate, but anyway, everyone loved it, And then I started getting a good name. But then Jimmy Tippett, was training regular. And one day he's in the car, and there was a guy sitting in the front seat. He said, "Get in." He said, "We're going to have a little run and a little workout on the green over at Blackheath." Okay. And it was a guy called Brian Cox. This guy, Brian Cox, I think he just had a car accident or something. His legs were bad or something like that. And this guy, Brian Cox, now he's a producer, he's an actor, he's fantastic. He's always in big films. Brian Cox, Born Identity, he's the old Billy Born Identity, big guy with glasses. He's been in Troy, he's been in loads of films. He's got another film coming out anyway. So young Jimmy Tippett was talking about him as well. But I knew Brian Cox very well. Very, very well, Brian Cox. Brian Cox, I knew him so well that when I got put away for a bit of time and Brian Cox stood bail for me, Used to go around my mum's house in Acton and come and see my sister. My sister had horses. Brian Cox loved horses, mate. And Brian Cox would come to my house and a Sunday dinner. That's how well I knew Brian Cox. I was in prison at that time, yeah. So my sister told me, my sister Dinah, Brian Cox loved my sister Dinah a lot, yeah. Really liked her, mate. Anyway, Brian Cox became a very good friend of mine. I was always, when Jimmy was with Brian, I was with Brian. Jimmy was with Brian Cox a lot because he's an actor, he's a famous actor. And Jimmy Tippett, he knew a lot of people that in the acting game because Jimmy Tippett had a thing called an equity card, yeah. In them days, you had to have an equity card to get into the films, yeah, acting and all that game. So the people that had equity cards was Gypsy Tom, I think Terry Coombs, Terry Sharp, Davey Old, Johnny Old, Paul Moriarty, and Brian Cox, and Jimmy Tippett, and a few other people, yeah. So Jimmy kept asking me to do an equity, but you know it is, you don't, I was lazy as anything as far as that's concerned. All I want to do is train. I didn't get involved. I should have got an equity card because I'd have been there, yeah. Anyway, Brian Cox has seen me have a few fights, and Brian Cox said to Jimmy Tippett, do you know what, this geezer can bang. He can really bang. So Jimmy's gone in, what did you say? He said he can really bang. So that was my name, Ray Bang Bang Hill. And it was Brian Cox that gave me that name, Bang Bang. And it was on me all the time. So when I come out of prison this time, and I started doing these podcasts, I remember that name, Ray Bang Bang. Ray Bang Bang, you know, I've used it all the time. And it was Brian Cox that gave me that name. But also, Brian Cox gave me a record, Call for Cats. Yeah, Call for Cats. Anybody know Call for Cats, yeah? This record, so when I go down the ring, it's Call for Cats. Yeah, so that was my thing. It was Brian Cox that gave me that name, gave me that record with Jim. And I loved it, man. And me and Brian Cox became really good friends. Proper friend. He wasn't as big as what he is now then. I think he weighed about, 12 stone, 11 or 12 stone, because he had a bit of an accident in his leg. Nice guy. A nice man, mate. Loved me to death, mate. He did really like me, Brian Cox. And got myself in a little bit of trouble. But before this, I'm meeting I'm meeting actors and all them sort of people, and I want also now, because I'm doing fighting, I'm earning £300 a fight. It wasn't a lot, and then it went up to £600 a fight, and I would always give Jimmy half of my money, yeah, and I was always, and I was always knocking them out. I was quite a good fighter. I could really bang, yeah, but I was doing a lot of door work, doorman. I was fighting a lot of doormen, yeah, loads. And I was fighting maybe sometimes two a week even, you know what I mean? In the end, I wound up on my heels. I was a bit punchy, you know, I was having too many fights. Down the Beckett, always training. So one day, I was down the Beckett and I met this guy called Davey Old. Davey Old, good, he wasn't a bad fighter. I'm not quite sure he's a professional fighter. And his brother, Johnny Old. I'm not quite sure if there was twins, Davey Old and Johnny Old. But I think it was John or David who used to run a pub across through Rotherhithe Tunnel. On the left-hand side, I think it's called Swan or something like that. And it used to be run by Lenny McLean and someone else. But evidently, Lenny got in a bit of trouble around that area in the pub or something, really hurt someone really bad, and they didn't want him to work in the pub no more. So Davey Old ran the pub by himself, but asked me, am I interested through Jim? And I went, yeah, I'm well interested. So Jimmy got a bit of my money as well. Like, listen, Jimmy could have what he likes off me, Jimmy Tippett. He'd done me a favour, put me where I am then, yeah. So I'm in the pub with Davey Old, or I'm not quite sure it's Dave or John, and I'm doing really good. But what I used to do, I lived in Lewisham, so I used to get a bus from Lewisham to near Rotherhithe Tunnel, get off the bus and run or walk through the tunnel. And then, I'm telling you, that Royal Ride Tunnel don't end under the Thames, mate. It don't end. You think it goes for miles and miles and miles. It don't end, mate. Every time you turn a corner, there's another corner. It goes on and on. Anyway, and you got all the fumes of the cars. But anyway, I go to the job. I like the job. And it is a bit of an aggro pub. I've had a few rows in the pub. A lot of people give me a good, say this geese can really have it, you know what I mean? Because I used to chuck people about and chuck them out. Man, don't forget, I'm not around that area. I come from West London, Acton, but I'm not care. I don't care. I want a good name, and people give me a name. And anyway, in the end, I had to leave the pub not because I didn't want to work. I did want to work. I didn't want to drive through the pub with my Christine's car, my ex-wife. Didn't want to drive through the pub, so I left the car. I didn't want to drop, just in case. You never know what's happening. I just come back through the Royal Ride Tunnel. Sometimes 1 in the morning, 2, and get a night bus and go home. Yeah. Anyway, so I eventually give the pub the elbow. Jimmy Tippett was going to me, look. The best thing we can do, I'm now still fighting regular, fighting, I don't know, maybe still 2 fights a week, 3 fights a month or whatever it is, yeah. I'm training regular. Me and Jim, we go down, what's the name, Cat's Whisker Streatham. Now, Kevin Paddock says it wasn't Cat's Whisker Streatham, it's in Guildford, I don't know, but if it is, Guildford, I can't remember, but Cat's Whisker Streatham comes to my name because I fought his brother in Cat's Whisker Streatham. I fought Kevin Paddock first. Kevin Paddock, remember, Kevin Paddock fought Kevin Finnegan for the middleweight title. Kevin Paddock had blown up to a heavyweight, yeah? I think it's about, 18 stone, 79, 18 stone. And Kevin Paddock, me and Kevin Paddock drew the fight, good fight. I mean, Kevin Paddock could really box. We would do in the middleweight, you know. But I think it was a super middleweight, and could really, really box. And it could really bang, mate, you know. Anyway, so I think he was about, I'm not quite sure, but he was about 17, 18 stone, I'm not quite sure. But he was big, short, 5'6", 5'7", but big, yeah. And he fought me, and me and Kevin, very lucky, me and Kevin become a draw. I mean, I remember in about the 6th round, Kevin Paddock come up to me in the clinch and said, come on, let's mean you have it, yeah, let's start fighting. And I went, oh, look, this is mad. We've been fighting all this time for 6 rounds, smashing each other to pieces, and he said, let's have a fight. Anyway, it became a draw. I was really pleased, because Kevin Paddock was a good fighter. And then I had a fight with his brother Sid. Sid was a heavyweight, yeah. He was a pro. I think Gardner beat him, John Gardner beat him, but he was a pro, good pro. And we fought catch. I think it was a catch. I don't forget all the things, right? But and it became a draw. We drew again, me and Kevin. So I drew with Kevin, and I drew with Kevin. I drew with his brother Sid Paddock. Yeah, sorry about that. And anyway, next thing I hear is that Kevin Paddock fought Roy Shaw, and Roy Shaw beat him on points. And I thought, wow, but you know, I thought, hold up, Roy Shaw's beat Kevin on points, yeah. And then I was fighting all the time, and then I got to hear that Kevin Paddock was going to fight Lenny McLean. I think the same place at Rainbow, was it? I don't know, Mayfair, Tottenham, Rainbow, I don't know. Anyway, I went down to see the fight with Jimmy, and I was right back, and I see Kevin Paddock, he's only tiny, really, for heavyweight, but he was big lump, and Lenny come out the first round and put his hands on top of Kevin Paddock's head, like that, taking the piss out of him, yeah? Kevin Paddock ducked under, bing, hit Lenny about 4 times, yeah? Shook Lenny up, mate. Shook him up. And Kevin Paddock, I'm not sure Kevin Paddock stopped him, but I know he beat Lenny. Kevin Paddock. And this is why I spoke to Kevin Paddock a few times on the phone, and I've kept telling people I want to go down to a podcast with Kevin Paddock. Kevin Paddock said, I'd have beat Lenny easy. He said, Ray, you'd have knocked him out, mate, because the power of your punches, he said, you knocked him spark out. He said, I beat Lenny easy. Roy Shaw beat me. I was underestimated Roy Shaw. I didn't train for Roy Shaw, but I didn't realise how fit Roy Shaw was. Roy Shaw is a very, very fit man, mate. Good, fit man. I know Lenny punched him to death. A lot of people think it was wrong. But anyway, so now I fought Kevin Paddock and I fought Sid Paddock. And things are really going well for me now. I'm having quite a few fights. And I think to myself, yeah, I'm gonna go a long way in this game, yeah, this unlicensed fighting. And I've had about what, I don't know, 25 fights, 30 fights. But regular fights, all the time regular fights. I haven't really been beat yet. A couple of draws I've had, but I haven't really been beat yet. And I'm fighting all the time. I'm with Jimmy, we go down clubs with Jimmy Tippett, and he's going in clubs, seeing bouncers, asking bouncers if they want to fight me, they're sitting looking over, and the bouncer's going like that, or Jimmy's going like that. I'm going, what, mate? Yeah. And I'm sitting there with a Guinness and a blackcurrant, yeah. And we used to go to see Harry Hayward and Billy Hayward, but Jimmy Tippett was very good friends with Billy Hayward and Harry, very good friends. They loved him to death, mate. He's done a few favours for Billy Hayward and Harry Hayward, because this is a later thing. Me, Jimmy and Cliff Fields and always got involved with doing the enforcer work. But at that time, I wasn't. I was just with Jimmy, and we went down to the Harp and Erin and met Bill and met Harry. This is before I fought Kevin Paddock. Met them, having a good time there, and laugh at them, and Bill. I loved Billy Owens, loved him. Don't forget, I haven't yet been to Maidstone on my other sentences. That's why I met Bill again in Maidstone, yeah. So I'm matey with Bill, matey with Harry, and Jimmy Tippett is really matey with, because Jimmy Tippett used to look after a few of the snooker clubs and bits and pieces with them. And one day he takes me downstairs, Harry, and downstairs in the pub, at the bottom of the pub, he's got a cell. Seriously, he's got in there a cell, a prison cell, not bricked up and all that, but it's like, I think wood, made it all the wood, put a door in it, locked the door, couldn't get out. But it was like a little cell in there, a little table and all this, that and the other. And what he would do, if any time he felt like doing something really, really bad, and he and thought about, well, if I ever get nicked, this is where I'm gonna wind up back in a prison cell, yeah. He'd go down there, lock himself in, get his wife to lock him in, or his daughter to lock him in, or his son to lock him in, and that would be it. And then he'd stay in there a couple of hours and fucking no way, won't ring the bell, like a bell we had inside. He's going, I ain't doing nothing, mate. Can't do no more of this. What a fantastic idea to be locked in a cell. This is what they should do. This is what they should do to people who haven't never been in prison, but take them to a prison and lock them in the cell for a couple of hours and let them kick in, and then see if they like it. You know what I mean? But they should do that. Be a good thing, wouldn't it? Anyway, so I went involved with Jimmy Tippett, went involved with all that law firm, and one day Jimmy Tippett said, look, we're going to go down to see Billy Hayward. He wants you to go to a club called Cheeks. I've just opened this club called Cheeks, and so he asked me if I want to go. So I walked down there, and there's Billy Hayward saying to me, do you fancy working there? I went, no, ain't for me, Bill. I don't want to start working in clubs. I've already worked in a club across the pub, across the water, with Davey Old. I went, I don't want to do all that bouncing game, you know what I mean? I was just doing what is unlicensed fighting. I know I'm going to go forward, but I need money in it. But I don't want to be doing that. I don't want to be working on club doors. I don't want to do it. I've done loads of fucking work on club doors, But later on, I was over the Vengeance and the Vertical, I do, yeah. But anyway, so I goes to the club. I'm outside with Jimmy, with Billy Haywood, and I think Haywood was there. We're just talking. All of a sudden, the Rolls Royce pulls up. I'm not quite sure it was the colour of the Rolls Royce, yellow, green, some fucking colour. And this geezer gets out the back with a fur coat. I think it's purple fur coat. And a big black guy gets out as well. And it's Dave Courtney. I didn't know who Dave Courtney was. I ain't got no clue who Dave Courtney was. He was young then. He looked, he was quite a good-looking guy, fit-looking guy. And walks in there. I thought he was gay. I really thought Dave Courtney was gay, and that sort of like wearing that sort of stuff, purple fucking fur coat with the big black guys all muscular behind him there. But anyway, it's Dave Courtney. He walked straight through. Harry and Bill shook his hands, talked to him, and that's it. He went in there. I'm standing outside with Jim. Shook Jimmy's hand. Didn't really know me. I didn't want to shake his hands or nothing like that. I just sat, looked there, and that's it. Yeah, he walked in, and that was it. Since that day, I've never really met Dave. Never spoke to him, never met him. But I remember him outside in that pub, in the club, rather, and he looked gay to me when I see it, yeah. But he obviously he ain't gay, I don't know. Anyway, so I'm now, everything now is going really, really well for me. I'm loving what I'm doing. I'm training with Jimmy Tippett all the time. I'm getting plenty of fights. I'm fighting all the time. I'm meeting Eddie Richardson, Terry Coombs, Terry Sharp, all them sort of people. I met Cliff Fields down at what's he call it? Down at Tottenham. I think it was at Tottenham Mayfair anyway. When he fought Lenny and other people down there, and me and Cliff. I see Cliff a lot of fights, and his mates. And Cliff, I see him down at Harvey Social Club, Woolwich, Streatham, Catchwich, Streatham, all around their fights, and other places. I don't really forget their names, yeah. So me and Cliff would become pals. We then decide Jimmy wants to do picking up money from people and all this, that and the other. I mean, I decide then to do it. I want to do it. I'm going to do all this now, this collecting money and this, that and the other, being an enforcer. Don't really understand it, but I'm with Jimmy. We go to certain places, collect money with Cliff Fields, and believe me, I've told you before, but I'm not a big say it really all that much again. But Jimmy Tippett was a good enforcer. When he went to get money, he'd get money. When with me and with Cliff, I mean, I knew I could have a white round. I know Cliff could have a white round. I've seen him fight, and I know Jimmy can have a white round. So the three of us together was a force. That's why we was called. That's why we were enforcers, and we used to get anything we used to go for. We used to get. You know, I've said lots of stories, but I'm just going through a story about people I knew, met. Yeah. So Brian Cox is still around. I mean, Brian Cox is a mate of mine, yeah, big mate of mine. I'll get involved with something, and they banged. I'm trying to remember what it was now. What I got banged up for. I think it's a thing in Streatham. I'm knocking about with someone. This someone is attempted to murder a police officer, shot him. Because I knew him, I got pulled in, got banged up. They put me in a cut A fucking thing and all this, that and the other, and there's a lot of people in there. Anyway, cut a long story short, I'll get bail, and I'm in the cell, open the cell. Hey, come on, get your key, you're going home. But don't forget, there's a few other people that I've met in there, and this is another story, but this is about Jimmy Tippett at the minute, yeah? Not about others, it's about Jim, but others to say a few anyway. So Jimmy's outside with Brian Cox. They stood bail for me, Brian Cox and Jimmy Tippett, and I can't believe it, you know what I mean? Gentlemen, mate, fucking gentlemen. So we goes back to my house in Harrow at the time, because I've moved, yeah? Go back there to meet my ex-wife, crash. Anyway, then I go back to Lewisham. And I'm now in a flat in Lewisham, and I'm still doing the same thing, fighting. And I love it, mate. I love my fighting. I'm fighting 24/7. Really, really like it. So, if so many things happen, over the me moving, this, that and the other, and other fights and shootings and this, that and the armed robberies, but it's just about gym in a minute, yeah. I'm gonna do an hour. And anyway, me, Brian Cox, Davey Old, Johnny Old, Terry Coombs, Terry Sharp, Gypsy Tom, Eddie Richardson, all them people in Lewisham, Deptford, Catford, Woolwich, all round there, mate, they love me. Everybody loved me fighting. And they loved me. I was just becoming a good fighter. Bang, bang, rail, you know. And I was getting a good reputation, you know, fighting. I'd fight anybody, mate. Anybody. And I did fight anybody. And going down to Beckett, and one day I went down to Beckett, and Jimmy asked me, guy in there, Roy Shaw. So a few rounds with Roy Shaw. I know, I've heard about him. Got in the ring with Roy. I should have said it before, but it's happened before, but it doesn't mean him anyway. I'll get in with Roy Shaw. And Roy Shaw is throwing punches from the floor. And Roy Shaw's knocking me all around the gaff. And he can bang Roy, but he ain't got the power to knock you out straight away. But he can. It's about how many punches he hits you with to knock you out, yeah? So Roy Shaw's not. I go down there with my young brother. He comes down to see me as well. So we're fighting there. My brother says, "Oh, stop it!" Anyway, Jimmy Tippett stops the fight. Roy Shaw punching me around the gaff. But after about 4 weeks of me and Roy going down and meeting and training, it's me now holding my own with Roy Shaw. I like Roy. I like Roy a lot, mate. Roy wasn't a guy. A nasty person, mate. Roy was a gentleman in a way. You could really talk. Roy, Lenny was different. Lenny McLean was different. He wanted the limelight. He wanted to be the number one, the governor, this and that. Anyway, but Roy Shaw, nice guy. I like Roy. I didn't hang out with Roy. It'd be nice to fight Roy, but I didn't want to go out my way to fight him. You know. And me and Roy was mates, mate. It was nice. He talked to me in the changing room. And the time that I got in the black guy called Lloyd Waltham, yeah, I got him in Lloyd Waltham, right, and as I say, the Beckett's quite small. I felt comfortable, you know what I mean? I hold my hands down, just going bang, bang, and all that. And Lloyd Waltham, as I come in to throw him a little bit, he went, boom, he hit me on the chin. 16-ounce gloves, mate. He hits me on the chin, bump, I hit the floor. I jump up straight away, which I shouldn't have done. I don't realise, but I'm concussed, mate. He's given me concussion. He's whacked me and he's given me concussion. That is a bad punch he's hit me with here. I can't remember how many rounds I went. All I can remember is all my head's going buzzing, yeah. I can't even remember how floor workout. I can't even remember what I'd done or anything. All I can remember is getting in the changing room and talking to Jim and saying I don't feel too up together, I feel a bit funny, yeah. Don't forget I lived in Lewisham and I drove to the Beckett. Right? Christine gave me the car. I drove to the Beckett. But when I come out the Beckett, instead of me getting into the car, which is just down the road as you come out the door to the right, I walk round Old Kent Road to the station, to the Elephant Castle station. And I'm there, and I'm thinking, waiting on a platform for a train, and I'm then realising, what am I doing? Where am I going? And then it all kicks in. I don't know what's happening. I'm upside down, mate. And now I've got to go all the way back to the Beckett to get in my car to go home. I was really bad for days. I had a really bad concussion. Lloyd Waltham really banged me on the chin, mate. Really hurt me and put me big concussion. I've never been hit like that in my life before, you know what I mean? He really did hit me hard, mate. Just a lucky punch, it come out of nowhere and it knocked me out. Not knocked me out, but it did just give me a concussion, yeah? And after that, I've had a few rounds with Lloyd. I knew that he could bang, so I was always very up. I always had my guards up with the geezer, mate. Big 16-ounce gloves. I want to be very careful. Probably weaving, bang with the top bang. I didn't get to fight Lloyd, Me and Lloyd never fought, but maybe I was a bit fit because he had 8 ounce gloves in and smashed me to pieces, perhaps, I don't know. But anyway, he's a good fighter, Lloyd. I used to move around with Columbo in the ring. Columbo, good fighter, mate. He'd done a lot of karate, but so when he'd fight you, he'd also give you chops. Oh, Columbo. He'd come in and give you chops to the head and all that, and it was terrific, mate. I loved Columbo, mate. He was a nice geezer to talk to. He was a gentleman, mate. A real gentleman, Columbo. I loved him to death, mate. And he trained like a warrior, mate. He trained like a gladiator. This guy trained hard. And there is, I think it's Box On actually, where you see Columbo training. Well, I'm there that day. Columbo's just, because he's doing his own thing. They've got the cameras out, they're watching because Columbo is Columbo. His name's Steve Ritchie's, but his name's Columbo, and he's a name that's got it to everybody. He's just, everybody loves Columbo. Him and who was the other one who used to train with him? Columbo, Chippendale. Danny Chippendale used to train with Columbo as well. Danny Chippendale's a good fighter, mate. Him and Columbo used to fight 24/7. Good fighters, mate. I used to love them. I used to really like them fighting. See them fighting, they used to really put it down, mate. Punch each other to death, mate. But anyway, I like Columbo. I love Columbo. I was there that day, I told you. And I used to see Columbo in all the fights. I ain't going to say too much no more because it's nearly coming up to an hour. I'm going to do an hour. I'm going to do a bit tomorrow. I'm going to finish it off in the Beckett. And then me and Jimmy decide we're going to do a lot of enforcer work as well as me doing my unlicensed fighting. I like doing what I'm doing. I'm getting good money for it, unlicensed fighting. Jimmy knows a lot of people. Still seeing Brian Cox is hanging around. Me and Brian Cox stood bail for another bail for me, a bigger bail. It's at the Old Bailey. Brian Cox stands on. I have it on my toes, yeah, from the Bailey, not from the have it on my toes, but the judge gives me bail. Because I'm making out I got really bad. I took some pill. Anyway, I'll explain to that when I do the next podcast. But Brian Cox stood bail for me. It got into the papers. I'm not quite sure. It was the Daily Mirror, the Sun. But it got into the papers that Brian Cox stood bail for me, an actor, and I absconded the bail. So that isn't, we're trying to get it, I'm trying to find it now, just to prove that. I think Jimmy Tippett was also in the paper with Brian Cox, picture I'm not quite sure, but obviously I'm going to try and find it now, more so than ever, because, there's certain things being said that I never knew he's dead, never knew this person, and anyway, but me and Jimmy Tippett, mate, was very strong together, very strong. Brian Cox, all that stuff, Davey Old, Johnny Old, Gypsy Tom, Terry Coombs, Terry Sharp, Eddie Richardson, Big George, all this lot, Billy Hayward, all that lot, mate, was friends of mine through Jimmy Tippett. I wouldn't have known these people without Jimmy Tippett. Jimmy Tippett put me on the map. He knew so many people, mate. He knew everybody, Jimmy Tippett. Everybody respected him. Everybody knew who he was. Everybody loved who he was. He was never a liberty taker. He was a person that could have a right fight. He was in the Guinness Book of Records, I think, for left hooks or right hooks, knocking people out continuously. Every time he had a fight, he was to knock him out, right hook, left hook, yeah. He's in the Guinness Book of Records for how many knockouts he's had. I know that for a fact. He's a gentleman and a scholar, and I loved him so much, mate. He was like a brother, or he was like a dad to me, mate. He'd pick me up every morning at Brookbank Road, Illy Fields, and we go running, or we go to the Beckett, or we go doing some enforcer work, which I said later on when I do part 2 of this, yeah. But at the minute, it's going to be an hour. An hour's enough because I've got other things to do. My book was yesterday. I've done a good part of my book yesterday. Got a long time, and today I'm going to do a little bit more. I'm going to get phone calls and we're going to crack on with my book again. I want it finished by December, January, and honestly, the book's really, really good book, yeah. Don't forget, I've also done Lad Bible, which is coming out in the next couple of 3 weeks, so that'll be good. And anyway, this is Bang Bang Radio. Please press the like button and subscribe if you like my podcast. Yeah, take care and have a nice day. Yeah, bye bye.